This video is about solving two-step equations. So I'm going to show you a couple of equations. Remember, your goal is to get the variable on one side of the equal sign all by itself. So in order to do that, you want to move all of the numbers to the other side. I'm going to put a line down through the equal sign because we're going to look at what we need to move to the other side. In order to move it, we're going to do the opposite operation to both sides of the equal sign so that the equal sign, remember, it makes it so the two sides are equal. And if you only do something to one side, the two sides will be unbalanced. So we have to do the same thing to both sides. So we have to look at what's by itself. Here, 3 is being multiplied by x, and 2 is being subtracted from it. So that minus 2 is by itself, so that's what we're going to get rid of first. Opposite of subtracting 2 is adding 2. And anything we do to one side, we have to do to the other. And notice how I put the plus 2 right below the minus 2 on the same side as x. So don't put it below the 3x. That's not what we want to get rid of. Put it right below the minus 2. And over here, I put it right below the positive 16. Right, so I know that negative 2 or minus 2 plus 2 equals 0. So I'm just going to zero those out. Bring down the 3x is equal to 16 plus 2 leaves me with 18. Okay, now I still have this 3 that's being multiplied by x. Remember that anytime a number is right next to a variable, it means multiplication. So opposite operation of multiplying is dividing. So to get rid of the times 3, I'm going to divide the whole thing by 3. But anything I do to one side of the equal sign, I have to do to the other. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So I'm left with 1x, or just x, equals 18 divided by 3 is 6. And I can plug this back in to double check my work. So 3 times 6 is 18. 18 minus 2 is 16, which is what is on the other side. So I know that I got the correct answer. So it is always good to double check yourself. All right, on this one, I want y by itself. I have 5 minus 2y. So here I have a positive 5. There is a minus sign, but I have to look at what's in front of it. It is positive. Minus 2y. So that means I have a negative 2 being multiplied by y, and it equals 18. So the part that's by itself is this positive 5. That's what I'm going to get rid of first. Opposite of positive 5 is minus 5. Some people see that minus after and think you need to add, but if I did 5 plus 5, it would give me 10. And I want this to go away. 5 minus 5 is the only thing that'll give me 0, that'll make it go away. So 5 minus 5 is 0. That minus has to stay in front of that 2y. So now I'm going to treat it as negative 2y is equal to 18 minus 5 leaves me with 13. Okay, I still need y by itself. It's being multiplied by negative 2. Opposite operation is to divide by negative 2. Remember, your variable y cannot be negative, so you have to get rid of that negative also. So I'm dividing by negative 2. Anything I do to one side of the equal sign, I have to do to the other. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is positive 1. That's how we made that y value positive. So y equals 13 over negative 2. All right, so I can write this as negative 13 halves, which I do need to reduce. Y equals negative 13 halves. I can reduce to 6 1/2. And make sure when you're writing it that negative goes out in front of the whole number. Don't stick it behind with the fraction. Make sure it's out with in front of the whole number. Negative 6 1/2. And I can plug it back in. All right, negative 2 times negative 6 1/2 leaves me with 13. 5 plus 13 is 18. If I don't include the negative, if that confuses you, think of it this way. 2 times negative 6.5 is negative 13. 5 minus negative 13. Change minus a negative to plus a positive, so 5 plus 13 is 18. All right, so here's some problems. Go ahead and try them on your own. Come back for the answer. I'll give you a hint on 5 and 6. You do have fractions being multiplied by your variables. So get rid of the number first, move it to the other side, and to get the variable by itself, whenever it's multiplied by a fraction, multiply both sides by the reciprocal. So that's the fraction flipped over. Go ahead and try these ones out and come back for the answer. All right, so starting with the first one, I'm just going to zoom in a little. We need to get n by itself. So I'm going to move the plus 7 to the other side by subtracting 7. 7 minus 7 is 0. Bring down that negative 4n equals negative 13 minus 7 is negative 20. N is being multiplied by negative 4. Opposite operation, divide both sides by negative 4. Don't forget that negative. I need my variable to be positive, so negative 4 divided by negative 4 is positive 1. So I have 1n, or just n, equals negative 20 divided by negative 4 is positive 5. And I can plug it back in to check my work. Hopefully you did that when you're solving though. All right, let's do number 2. Get rid of the minus 11 by adding 11 to both sides. Negative 11 plus 11 is 0. Bring down the 3m equals negative 26 plus 11 is negative 15. Divide both sides by 3 to get m by itself, and m equals negative 5. All right, let's try number 3. So again, this is the type where people get confused because that minus is behind the 3, but remember 3 is positive, so to make it go away, you have to subtract 3. Because if I added 3, 3 plus 3 gives me 6, not 0. So 3 minus 3 is 0. Bring down that negative 2y equals 17 minus 3 leaves me with 14. Divide both sides by negative 2. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1, so I'm left with y equals negative 7. And again, hopefully you checked your work by plugging it back into the problem. All right, number 4. Get rid of the minus 6 by adding 6 to both sides, or sorry, the negative 6. Negative 6 plus 6 is 0. Bring down that positive 5x equals, and again, remember, line up your plus 6 right below that negative 6. Don't put it below your 5x because you can't add 6 to an x value. So make sure you're lining everything up neatly. Negative 31 plus 6 leaves me with negative 25. Divide both sides by 5, and x equals negative 5. All right, now to the tricky ones with those fractions. All right, we want g by itself. Get rid of negative 4 by adding 4 to both sides. So I'm left with positive 1/3 g equals negative 9 plus 4 is negative 5. So remember I said multiply both sides by the reciprocal because g is being multiplied by the variable. So the reciprocal is just the fraction flipped over. So 3 over 1. Okay, 3 divided by 3 is 1. 1 divided by 1 is 1. So that's how I'm left with my 1g, or just g, equals, well, 3 over 1 is just 3. So negative 5 times 3 gives me negative 15. And again, plug it in to check your work. Last one. Get rid of the minus 3 by adding 3. Negative 3 plus 3 is 0, so bring down the negative 2/5 x equals 7 plus 3 is 10. All right, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, but it's also negative. I have to get rid of that negative, so I'm going to multiply by -5/2 on both sides. Anything you do to one side, you have to do to the other. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And a negative times a negative is the positive. If it confuses you what I just did, you can always do the work down below. -5/2 times -2/5. -5 times -2 is, positive 10, over 2 times 5 is 10, and 10 divided by 10 is 1. So that's how I got these to cancel out. It just equals 1. So 1x is equal to, all right, I'm going to put the 10 over 1 so I can just multiply. 10 times -5 is -50, over 1 times 2 is 2. Remember, anytime you have a whole number to make it into a fraction, put a 1 below it. All right, I need to reduce. X equals -50 over 2 is -25. All right, hopefully you were able to solve all of the two-step equations.